Hi everyone, this is Anne-Marie from Alma Surfside Jewelry. Thank you so much for joining me for another beading tutorial today. For those of you who don't know me, I have an Etsy shop where I sell handmade surf and beach inspired jewelry, and the name of my shop is Alma Surfside. And I also have an Instagram account which is Alma Surfside 7. So be sure to check out both of those links in the description box down below. And for today's beading tutorial, we're going to be going over a bracelet project. So this is what it looks like. It has sort of a peekaboo window in each of the components, and I've only used a handful of supplies in order to create this design. So it's very accessible. You don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of new things in order to create it. And it has a very linear pattern, so it's best as a bracelet rather than a necklace or even earrings. Okay. So what you'll need for today's project is Fireline, and I always use 6-pound crystal or 0.006, and this is from the Berkeley brand. This one happens to be 1500 yards, but of course you can get it in smaller spools of like 125 yards. Okay. In the first pile there on the far left hand side of my mat are 15-0 seed beads. And all of the beads here on my mat, except for the very last row, are from the Toho collection. So these ones are 15-0s again, and this color is galvanized silver, and sometimes you'll find them under the name of aluminum. Okay. In the second pile there on my mat are more 15-0 Toho seed beads, and these ones are in baby pink, and they have an opaque luster finish. So that's what they look like. In the third pile there are 11-0 Tohos, and these are in white opaque luster. Okay. And finally, in the last row, the fourth one there, are Miyuki delicas. Okay, so once again, these are delicas. They're not seed beads, so you're going to want to make sure that you get the right supply for the side of the shape that we're going to be working on. And again, Miyuki 11-0 delicas, and the color is matte light aqua. Okay, this is from the Bead Treasures brand, which I believe I bought at Hobby Lobby a long time ago. Okay, and for findings, you'll need a lobster clasp, and this is in stainless steel. And the reason why I've chosen silver is because I have silver beads in the design. And you'll also need a couple of jump rings, okay, also in stainless steel. And for this project, if you have a hard time measuring, you know, how many units you'll need for the length of your wrist, it's sometimes helpful to have a chain extension, okay? So I've chosen to include that here with this project, because each of the units are fairly wide, so it's kind of hard to get a perfect fit, but this will help you achieve that just with the chain extension, okay? It's also helpful to have scissors on hand to cut your Fireline as you work, and it's good to have flat nose pliers in order to work with the jump rings at the very end of the project. And besides that, of course, you'll need a beading needle, and you can cut about an arm's length worth of Fireline and attach that to your beading needle. Okay, so go ahead and gather all of your materials and let's get started. Okay, so the plan for today's tutorial is to go over a couple of the components, and then we'll attach those two pieces together, and then I'll go over the closure at the very end. Okay, so let's get started on the first part of it. So you don't need much of a tail for this one, and we're going to go ahead and pick up a total of 8 white 11-0s. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 8 beads there on my needle, and I'm going to push those down on my Fireline. And I'm going to go up the very first bead there that I have on my thread. Okay, so you want to have like a circular shape at this point. And I'm going to take one of my 15-0s in silver, and I'm going to go down the very next bead. Okay, so that's what you want to have at this point. We're going to take another silver bead and we're going to go through the next white bead. There we go. So you should have 2 silver beads in 50-no at the top of your shape. We're going to go down the next white bead, pick up another silver bead, and we're going to go through the next white bead. There we go. Okay, so you should have 2 white beads in between the 2 silver beads that you just put on. And up here, we're going to pick up another silver bead, go through the next white bead, okay, now that we're through the white bead, we're going to pick up another silver bead and go down the next 2 white beads. Okay, so now that both of our threads are here at the same point, we can tie off the tail with the main thread. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of knots right here. And I'm going to cut off the extra thread there on the outside. And set the tail aside along with my scissors. Okay, and now I need to insert one more silver bead right here. And then I'm going to go down the next 2 white beads. There we go. Okay, so that's the shape that you want to have here. You want to have 3 silver beads at the top. You want to have 2 white beads on each side, on the left and the right. Okay, and then again, 3 silver beads sitting there at the bottom of your shape. And then what we're going to do is go up through the silver bead. So now that we've gone through the silver bead there at the bottom of our shape, I'm going to go ahead and pick up 2 of my 50-nos in silver. And I'm going to go through the opposite side of the bead that I'm exiting, so this one here, and attach them to the outside. Okay. I'm going to go through the next 2 beads, so go through the white and the silver. And at this point, I'm going to pick up 2 of my 50-nos in that baby pink color. And I'm going to go through the opposite side of that silver bead that I'm exiting at the top of my shape. Okay, go down through the next 2 beads, so the next 11-o in white, as well as the 50-no in silver. And I'm going to pick up 2 more of my silver 50-nos. And I'm going to go through the opposite side of the bead that I'm exiting, so right there. There we go. Okay, so let's have a recap of what we've just done. So we've attached 2 silver beads on the left side, 2 pink beads at the top of our shape, and another 2 of the silver color on the right side. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom of our shape. Okay, so go through the next 3 beads, the 2 11-os, as well as the 50-no in silver. And I'm going to pick up 2 of my 50-nos in silver here. and I'm going to go through the opposite side of the bead that I'm exiting, so right there. There we go. Okay, so you can see we're doing the exact same thing on the other side of our shape. I'm going to go through the next two beads, so the white 11-0 as well as the silver 15-0. And now I'm going to attach two of my baby pink beads at the top of my shape. Okay, going through the opposite side of the bead that I'm exiting. And we're going to go down the next two beads until we get to the other side. Okay, so there's one more set of two that we need to attach to the outside. So I'm going to pick up two more 15-0s in silver. And I'm going to go through the opposite side of that bead. Okay, so now what we want to do is carry on through the next three seed beads below, so the two 11-0s in white and the silver 15-0. We're going to pick up two of our 15-0s in baby pink. Okay, and I'm going to go through the silver bead sitting there in the center, so right there. And pull on my thread. Okay, I'm going to pick up two more baby pink beads. And this time I'm going to go down the 15-0 sitting there on the other side. So this one here at the bottom. Okay, so that's what we have so far. We're going to do the same thing on the other side of our design. So carry on through the next three beads. The two whites in 11-0, as well as the silver 15-0. And you can see that we have another gap here. So we're going to pick up two more of our pink beads. And we're going to go through the silver bead sitting there in the center. So this one here. And pull on our thread. Okay, and again, one more gap that we need to fill. So we're going to pick up two more pink beads in the same size and go down the next silver bead. Okay, so that's what you should have so far. All of the top and bottom should be filled in with pink beads, and then we're going to take care of the sides in just a minute, okay? But what I want you to do right now is to turn around by going up through this bead here on the far right-hand side. And we're just going to go through all of those beads sitting there at the top. So go through all of the pink beads, just so that everything is attached. Okay, and I want you to go through the next silver 15-0 that's sitting there on the outside. So this one here. And now that we have another gap on the right side of our shape, we're going to pick up two Miyuki delicas in 11-0. And we're going to go up the very first silver bead there sitting on the outside. So this one right here. And pull on our thread. So you can see that fills in the gap on the outside of our shape. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So carry on through all of the pink beads at the top of your shape. Okay, we're going to go through the next silver bead sitting there on the outside. So this one right here. And I'm going to pick up another two of my Miyuki delicas. And I'm going to go through this bead right here, the one on the top right, okay? And pull on my thread. So that's our first component finished, and what we can do is tie a knot at this point. So I want you to go through the very next silver 50-no, go on the inside of your shape, and tie a knot right there, and go again and do a second knot. And pull as tight as you can, okay, to make sure that it's nice and secure. And then once you're happy with everything, you can go ahead and get your scissors and cut off the extra thread. There we go. So that's our finished first component. As you can see, we're going to do the exact same thing one more time. I'll show you how to connect the two pieces together, and then we'll go over the closure. Okay, so now we're ready to start the second component. So we'll go ahead and pick up a total of 8 seed beads in 11-0 in white. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to push those down on my fire line like we did before. And again, you don't need much of a tail because we're going to be tying off, the two fire line pieces together. So what you're going to do is insert your needle through the very first bead there and pull in your thread. Okay, so that just creates a little circle shape. And then what we need to do is pick up one of our silver beads and go through the next white bead. Okay, pick up another silver bead and go through the next white bead. Okay, once again, another silver in 50-0. And we'll go down the next white bead. Okay. So you can see that we have 3 silver beads there at the top. Okay, so now I'm going to go down one more white bead, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, you're going to pick up one of your 50-nos in silver, go down the first white bead, pick up another silver, carry on through the next white bead, and we have one more gap, so we're going to fill that right now. Pick up a silver and go through the next white bead. Okay, so you should have 3 silver beads at the top, 2 white beads on the left and right hand side, and 3 silver beads there at the bottom. Okay. And now that we have our 2 threads here on this side, we can tie them together and then cut off the tail. There we go. So I'm happy that it's nice and tight and secure, so I'm going to cut off this tiny little bit. Okay, and because I don't need it, I can set it aside. Okay, so this is where we're coming out right here, and what we can do is just carry on through the next 2 beads, so the white and the silver. So now I'm exiting the 50-no silver bead here on the bottom right hand side, so right here, and I'm going to pick up 2 of my silver beads in 50-no, and I'm going to go through the opposite side of that same bead. There we go. Okay, and now I can go through the next 2 beads here, so the white 11-no, as well as the 50-no in the center. And now that I'm at the top of my piece, I'll go ahead and pick up 2 of my baby pink 50-nos. and I'll go through the opposite side of the bead that I'm exiting. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. So go down the next 2 beads. Let's pick up 2 15-0s in silver and go through the opposite side of that same bead. Okay, and now we can carry on to the other side of our piece. So go down the next 2 11-0s in white, go through the 15-0 in silver, and now I'm going to go ahead and pick up 2 silver beads in 15-0 and go through the opposite side of that same bead. Carry on through the center silver bead. Up here, we're going to pick up 2 of our pink beads. And we're going to go through the opposite side of that same bead, right there. And pull on your thread. Go down the next 2 beads. So the white 11-0 as well as the 15-0. And we're going to pick up 2 more 15-0s in silver and go through the opposite side of the same bead. Okay, so that's the basic shape that you want to be working with. And we're going to carry on down through the next 2 white beads. Go through the silver bead as well, the 15-0. Okay, and we're going to start to fill in the gaps around the outside of our shape. So pick up 2 of your pink beads and go through the center silver bead sitting there at the bottom. Okay, so right there. And we need 2 more pink beads for the other side, so go ahead and get those. And go through the silver bead there at the base. Okay, so the top part is done, and we just need to do the same thing on the other side. So go through the next 3 beads. Okay, so I'm now exiting the silver bead here on the bottom right hand side, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up 2 more of my pink beads. Go through the silver bead in the center. Pull tight. Okay. We're going to pick up 2 more pink beads, and I'm going to go through the silver bead below. There we go. Okay, so all of the pink beads have been added, and if you remember from last time, we did a little bit of a turnaround. So I'm coming out of this bottom 15-0 there on the right, and I'm going to go up through this bead sitting right above it, as well as the other bead adjacent to it. Okay, so the ones that are sitting there on the outside. And then I'm going to go through all of the pink beads there in the top row. All the way down until I exit the silver bead. So now I need to go through the second silver bead. And I'm going to pick up 2 of my Miyuki delicas. And I'm going to go through the very next bead, okay, the first one that you see sitting there on the outside. Okay, again, we're going to go through all of the beads sitting there at the top on the outside, so the silver as well as all the pink beads. And same thing on the other side. Head down towards the silver bead. And now we have one more empty gap, so I want you to go through the next silver bead on the outside. And we're going to fill that one in with 2 more Miyuki delicas. And go through the next silver bead. Okay, right there. And pull on your thread. Okay, so to finish off this piece, I'm going to go through the next silver bead. So let's do 1 knot right now by going on the inside and going through the loop. And we can go over to the other side. Okay, so I've just left my thread right before the silver bead there, and I'm going to do 1 other knot. There we go. Okay, so I've pulled tight, everything's nice and secure. Okay. So for this section of the video, I'm going to go over how to attach the first 2 components that you created. So you want to make sure that your thread is coming out of this bead here, so the last one at the bottom on the right. And you're going to put your needle through the silver bead that's right next to it, as well as the 2 Miyuki beads and then the other 50No right above. And then you can take your other unit and you're going to go through the exact same 4 beads. Okay, so you're going through the silver at the bottom, 2 of the Miyuki delicas, as well as the silver above. Okay, and pull on your thread. Okay, now you can go through the opposite side of the original unit. So your thread is coming out of the bottom, and you can go through the top side with your needle, going down the same 4 beads that we went through before. There we go. Okay, so that's what keeps them together. So to make that a little bit stronger, you can reinforce it by going through all of the same beads. So I'm going through 4 on one of the units, going down, and then going back through the other 4 on the other side. There we go. Okay, so that just reinforced the link between the 2. And then what you're going to do is continue on through the outside of this shape that you're coming out of right now. So you're going to go through the silver bead, all of the pink beads there at the top, and go down through the next 4 beads on the other side and do the same to attach the next unit. So right now what I want to do is to go over the closure, and we'll wrap up the video. Okay, so to do the closure, I'm going to go down the next 4 beads here on the outside of the shape. Okay, so those are the same 4 beads that we went through to attach the previous component. And I'm going to pick up a total of 5 seed beads in 50No. There we go, so 5 there on my needle, and I'm going to go through the opposite side of that set of 4 beads. Okay, so right there, and pull on my thread. Okay, so that's the closure. It's just a very simple semicircle with a number of 50Nos, and then to make it stronger, you can go through all of the beads that you just added on. And then go down the 4 beads that you went through originally. Okay, and then at this point you can go on the inside of your shape and tie a knot. Okay, I'm not going to do that in this case because I want to be able to continue after. But anyways, let me show you with my other bracelet here. So this one has a total of 5 50-0s on this side for the closure, and I've done the exact same thing on the other side. And then you can grab your flat nose pliers and your jump ring, and you're going to insert it through one of the loops and close it up. And then for the other side, you're going to take the other jump ring as well as the lobster clasp. Okay, attach those two pieces together and insert it through the loop on the other side. Okay, there we go. So that's closed. And that's what creates your final closure. So you can open up your lobster clasp and attach it to the jump ring. There we go. So just to give you an idea, I did a total of 15 components in order to create this bracelet. And then of course I have the chain extension just to make it fit comfortably around my wrist. Okay, so that should give you a ballpark of how many you need to do. But of course measure it against your wrist as you're working, and then that'll give you a good idea of how far you have to go. Okay, so anyways, that concludes our beading tutorial for today. And I hope that you found it super easy and that the instructions were clear. So I hope you enjoy wearing this pastel bracelet, and I really like the little window feature, so you can see your skin, you know, peeking through the bracelet, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. Before you go, please take a minute to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye for now.